press something on my side.
No, we're good. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the series of Fireside Chats by Women Tech Network. We are inviting phenomenal and outstanding women to inspire and empower you to grow professionally. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Alina Kornienko, CEO and co-founder at Quippy. She has more than 10 years of experience in business communications and business development. Together with her co-founders, she's developing the Quippy multi-currency digital payment and financial solutions super app. Alina is the main Quippy speaker representing the company's highly innovative solutions worldwide. She speaks fluently English, French, Spanish, Italian, German, Portuguese, and Russian. Speaking 7 languages fluent is super impressive, I must say. And Alina was also a speaker at Women Tech Global Conference 2020, where she has some really cool things about the fintech industry and also about Quippy. And today we are going to talk about her experience in startup building, tips on building a personal brand and creating a stellar pitch. Hi, Alina, and welcome.
Hello, thank you very much, Anna, for the introduction and for everything you do at Women Tech Network. It's really impressive and amazing.
Great to have you with us. And thanks a lot for your contribution to the conference, and thanks a lot for your contribution to the fintech industry. I really like to see more female founders doing things in tech industry, and especially in fintech, as it's pretty male dominated, but we'll dwell into that also in our discussion. So for everyone who is tuning in, say hi in the chat and feel free to ask your questions or share whenever something resonates with you. Do let us know in the comments. So, Alina, your background is in linguistics and communication. How did you get into fintech?
Okay, so I knew you would ask me this question. So basically, what I believe from the very beginning is that despite the fact we're living a bipolar world, it's no longer vital, because this division between humanities and techniques, it should no longer exist. I mean, because we take a lot from ourselves when we spread things like this in the opposites. So when I was taking my studies first in translations, then in communications, linguistics, I really thought that it would be cool to apply this to another spheres. And it's such a pity that, for example, in humanities, in linguistics, I don't know, literature, arts, it's very popular now to have those interdisciplinary hybrid studies, but they do not pass those humanities frontiers. Although it is really interesting to apply these purely, I would say, purely this knowledge to some other spheres where it could be even more important and even more necessary. So when I was doing my studies, I started working for a business aviation important company where I was responsible for international relations, for representing company at some conferences, events on making international cooperations. And that's actually when my journey in non-humanities sphere started. Then I continued with master's degree, with Ph.D. And by the end of my Ph.D. work, my friends and now my colleagues and co-founders told me that they are purely financial reputed specialists. They told me that they want to build a very special and a brand new service for different financial activities, and they asked me whether I would love to join this project because they were good at tech side, IT side, financial banking side, but they didn't understand anything about branding and about communications, about representing, building a story, and they asked, could you help us with making this live in for our potential clients. And I've said, yeah, sure, it's great. And it really helped me a lot to apply my purely linguistic research to the field where I was trying to face new audience, new communities, new clients, at the same time attract already those clients who knew something about fintech, about digital currencies, trading, and so on. And it really taught me lots of lessons that I would be happy to share.
Absolutely. I would love to learn them as our discussion will go. Yeah, I see that, in a team, it's important to have these complementary skills, right? As you said, your co-founders, they knew the tech style, but they needed a person like you who could represent the company, pitch, and kind of be this person to translate these tech things into the language will be easily perceived by people from different backgrounds and for people who are also users, right?
Yeah, and also I wanted to add that, as you say, every project, every cool tech idea needs a story, because it's the story that attracts customers, that attracts potential partners and also investors. And tech specialists are good at creating, but not always good at telling things and representing things. And that's where we learn from each other. That's what I was telling about hybridity, interdisciplinary things, is that I learn from them, they learn from me, and that's how we can build something new together.
I'm wondering, what are the challenges that you faced or maybe are still facing as a woman in tech already, since you work already quite some time in the tech industry?
So I'm really, really excited that today, as you say, we can see more and more women in the tech sphere. Not only women who are IT engineers, for example, or tech developers, but also women who take important roles and companies and projects in mostly male spheres like the fintech one. I would love to say that fintech, despite the fact that there are lots of people from banking industry that is purely traditional and purely male, from IT industry that is also mostly male, because fintech is a very new field, a growing field. It attracts professionals of, I would say, mostly all races, all genders, because to be able to grow, to be able to develop, fintech projects and fintech industry need professionals, despite race, gender, culture. So but I would say that still it's what I see when I'm pitching, when I'm talking at some purely fintech conferences, these are mostly men who represent companies. And it's also, it makes you different, because when telling a story, a female approach and a male approach, they are different. But at the same time, it helps to reveal some probably some aspects that cannot be seen from the other gender side.
Which brings potentially some uniqueness to the solution, or maybe this is part of the solution. So this is crucially important to have also the diversity of thought in a team overall, but in a leadership team as well. I'm just wondering, you started Quippy in 2017. So what provoked you to go for it? In other words, what problem are you solving in this Quippy? And another question that I have also, what is the main competitive advantage of Quippy in comparison to other existing solutions?
Thank you for this question. So, of course, the goals and the problems we were solving back in 2017 when I've just started writing this story of Quippy, they were a bit different from what we're working on now. But that's also very important about building a startup. So you start with some idea, and if you are always in touch with the market, with your audiences, when you explore new markets and audiences, of course your goals and the problems you're solving, they change a bit, but that's a very important one of the main parts of the journey you take when you develop your idea, your project. So when we started this, we wanted to build a very comfortable and unique all-in-one solution for all the operations with digital currencies. But when we've built it next year in 2018, we understood that it's okay, this problem is quite solved by us. So we need to go further. We need to explore other problems that our clients, actual clients and our potential future clients might be facing. And so at that time, we've started to build a truly all-in-one financial solution to provide our customers with a unique personal banking, everyday financial experience. So that's all about, and this problem became more crucial last year with all those quarantine lockdown problems, when people were not able to go out, were not able to see their parents, their friends, relatives, but they still needed to be in touch and also financially in touch with them. And when local bank offices were closed, but people still needed to receive money, send money. At that time, I was very passionate about introducing new service that was like topping up a mobile phone, not only your phone, but of any person, if you just know the number, and over 80 countries all around the globe. So it was really to help our users stay in touch with those they are separated with because of those pandemic reasons. And so we are now solving this problem to have everything in one app, to be able to consolidate all the financial needs, the financial services accounts within one application, and not to bother yourself anymore with dropping funds back and forth from one card to another and so on. And now we're working a lot on these artificial intelligence mechanisms to build a card consolidator that would be able to choose the right card, the right account at the moment of payment or purchase, that would analyze all the credit scores, all the promotions, all the partnerships of all the banks to make this purchase or transfer as profitable as possible for customers. So at the same time, this is the most important benefit.
Yeah, I like a couple of things that you outlined, especially in the process, how you said that Quippy evolved, that you said about problem. So as someone who works with startups and part of Founder Institute Pre-Seed Acceleration Program, we always tell founders, don't fall in love with your solution, fall in love with your problem. And I really like the way you outlined, you said, we understood that this problem already solved. So we were like, what other problem can we solve like similar, right, or in that direction? And you like found a problem which is not yet solved. And like right now also you're also building and improving, and like I see how COVID accelerated and pushed for that, direction to speed up the process. And as you said, for some people it was critical, right? They needed to send money to their parents, relatives, or parents needed to send the money to their kids. So they needed some good, reliable, fast solution, and that's where Quippy comes in the game, right? That's fantastic. And some people are sharing that it's amazing, the solution that you're building, and I totally relate. And here comes my another question. So how did COVID in general affect the whole fintech industry, in a sense that what the future will be also? What will the industry look like in 2030, let's say?
2030, it's quite a long way to take, but first of all, I can make a resume kind of how COVID impacted fintech. There is no bad without good. So COVID accelerated fintech field a lot. I mean, enormously, drastically, I would say, just because people and founders and those working in the fintech field understood that either they will take this digital path and improve what they have, and connect some more services, either they will not be compatible in, I would say, 6 months, 12 months. And so what I believe in 5 years perspective, it's 100% true. Fintech and also financial banking sectors, they are taking not only this digital way, but the way of open banking, because sharing information, sharing those flow sources, it helps a lot to accelerate the cash flows, to accelerate transactions, which is also very, very important because we're living in the world that is speeding up, I mean, every hour or even or even earlier. So that is why the open banking is the right way to take. And open banking, it's also about consolidation. I think I was talking and in relation with Quippy. And the other thing that all the financial and fintech sector, the way they would take, it's of course the banking as a service way, because banking as a service, and I was talking about that on the previous Women in Tech conference. So it's about not only sharing information in some way, but also sharing your services. So banking as a service enables you to connect to other service providers or to other solutions in order to build an ecosystem, a true ecosystem, because single projects with some very restricted area of functionality would not be able to exist on their own. They would need to become a part of the ecosystem, and I believe it's great because, as I've said, sharing expertise, sharing measures, services, it works not only for your own wealth but for the commonwealth of and for the comfort of their users.
Absolutely. One thing that fascinated me also the most, I think, about Quippy, apart from what you're doing in the fintech space, is that your company is run by 70% by women, which is like a good example for other companies and general startups, because I'm observing this trend. Sometimes founders think, okay, we hire people we can, and that's mostly guys, and that we will think later about diversity, right? And you take different approach. So maybe you can share a little bit more, how did you manage to create this environment where people could thrive and create this culture where they could feel they belong, and especially women?
Yeah, thank you. I also believe it's a great achievement that we reached during these 3 years, already 4 years nearly of our existence. So in the beginning, we were a very, very small team, but already at that time we had human resources specialist and one of the IT developers. They were already women. And so, yeah, it was at the beginning when we were only kind of 7. So we were already 3 out of 7. So it was.
I think you also set the tone and were like a role model, because having a woman in the leadership team attracts also the people to join the team.
Yes. It's true. And also, I was very fascinated by my colleagues and co-founders who were, as I've already said, from very traditional spheres, who were very open to specialists of every, I would say, gender, of every culture, but who wanted to hire passionate people, and me also, passionate people, great professionals who would be able to become even more open-minded than they were when they came to our project, because fintech, it's also about being open-minded and being able to learn every day, because it's a hybrid sphere once again. And so, but then in a year, we understood that, okay, 70% it's women on senior positions. And by that time, we've decided to create this atmosphere where people, well, again, not only women, but men also, could stay close to their families, so that we could have this culture of sharing, not only sharing some culture, some experience, but also sharing expertise. So we have some days during the month when specialists from different departments share their knowledge. They so kind of giving lectures how step by step something is working, so people could enrich themselves and understand how it all goes. So that would help them to build their part of the project. Yeah, and so we are inspiring we're inspiring women once again to join our project. And as we're now expanding to Latin America, and will be later expanding to Africa and Asia, we are very delighted to have female local specialists
so everyone who's listening, if you're from there, check out, drop a message and be early on.
But also European, I mean, European specialists are also very,
absolutely.
very well.
Thanks for sharing that, Alina. And moving from diversity to actually something that is very essential for every startup for sustainability is raising funds. So 3 years ago, Quippy raised $1.5 million for the seed round. So what were some of your key learnings while fundraising?
Okay, so one of the main at that time, because things changed a lot since that first raise from angel investors who were really cool, who believed in our project, who believed in our story. So the key point about your first fundraising round is that you should be very, very clear in what you want to do. So investors, no matter institutional ones, VC funds, angels, big corporations, they want to hear that you really know what you're building and for whom you are building this. So your pitch deck or your pitch, no matter what format it would be, so it should have first the highlighted problem and the highlighted solution. So they should be close together, probably on the main page if we're talking about the pitch deck. So this is the problem, and this is the solution, and also the audience for whom you are solving this problem. And also another thing, when you're just starting, so it's your first round, it's just the, I don't know, pre-seed stage, just the idea stage, do not spread your mind a lot. So do not try to show the investor that you will be solving this, and this for this audience, and also this audience. No, they would love to hear that you have chosen, just for the beginning, probably, this one very segment that you know closely, this one very segment of the audience. You know the needs of this audience. You know how to measure this audience, even if it would be just, I don't know, Asian teenagers of 14 years old from, I don't know, South Korea. Why not? that's already an audience which has their aspirations, their needs, and who can pay you for your solution. So that is one important thing that I've learned, that you have to be clear. You do not have to provide this idea like, oh, in 5 years we would be a unicorn after unicorns and so on. No, you just have to be as precise as you can, because especially the early stage investors would love to hear that in 2 years max you will survive as a startup. Yes, because most of the startups, they die they perish after the first year, then or even
earlier,
or even earlier. So the investors would love to hear that you will not waste their money for nothing. And you have to show the expertise. You have to be very precise in your expertise, that it is you and exactly you who can do that. And do not be afraid of telling that even if you haven't made anything, it's just an idea that you come with. That
of course, it sounds ridiculous when people tell me don't have competitors. Something is wrong.
Yes, no, it doesn't sound ridiculous. It sounds like, first thing, you did not make any kind of research, of market research. Another thing, there are no competitors, but this field is absolutely
exactly why there are no competitors.
That's why there are no competitors.
Yeah. I mean,
and I don't know. I don't know what's worse. I mean, from those two options. Yeah. So that's.
And in the process of working with startups, since we work with early stage startups, and they often come and would say like there are no competitors, and then in the process they discover so many competitors. So when you said like focus on the segment, right, the target audience, you cannot take all the teenagers in the world. Maybe potentially you can, but you need to grow gradually, like to scale gradually, right? So start with this group that you know, and do you know about this group, right? So you need to do your research also to understand, can you solve the problems, are they ready to pay money, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, what you shared I think is super valuable. And personal experience, I think, is nothing that could substitute all the, all the information you can find on the internet. And yeah, doing it yourself is different. And yeah, you learn a lot. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. When it comes to building your personal brand, which techniques are you using to help you build your personal brand? And when you run a startup company, is there a line between personal and company brand for you personally?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to you building a startup, a brand, or a project, and you are a founder, you are extremely related to what you build. It's an enormous part of your life. So if you're working on something client-oriented, and we are all working on something client-oriented, mostly the transparency and the visibility of the team are one of the key approaches. So of course you can write a story, you can write a story of the brand, but it's the team that is making this project, that making this solution live. So do not afraid to be transparent, because this transparency is the key step to the loyalty of your clients, because your clients are humans and they want to see that there are also humans on that side building this or that solution. Also, very important thing, if you're a founder, do not be afraid to speak and to present your project on those different events, conferences that are related to the field you are working on, because you are, as a founder, the only and the right ambassador of your brand, and you're the only one to be able to truly represent the philosophy of what you're building. So as your startup, your project is inseparable from your personality. Share in your personal social networks the same values. Try to share the same values and ideas to the ones that belong to your company, to your project. At the same time, do not forget to keep this balance between corporate, between professional and personal. Because once again, I know that visibility for some people it's quite hard, but at the same time, try to show, as I've said, to your potential partners or the potential investors or clients that you're also human. That because it's cool, for example, to be at the same time a founder and a sister, a mother, I don't know, an aunt of, so that you are as human as all others, as your clients, and also share experience with others. If you have, and we all have experience, and information is extremely important in our world today, especially in digital world. Share this experience, become part of some movements, networks, as the one you have, to help other people to build something, to avoid your mistakes. And at the same time, when we share experience, we also learn from those with whom we share. So this exchange of
it's not just one way, right?
So
you just
important.
You receive, and the questions people ask maybe make you, right?
They make you think, they make you analyze, and also yes, it's important to talk about positive things, about achievements, but also failures is what makes us better. So do not be afraid to talk about failure, because in this digital world and in the world where information is hyper fastly spread, if you do not talk about your failure, it's very possible that someone else will talk about it. But when you talk about failure, try to say and highlight that it's an experience. Okay, you could not conquer that market because, and you learn this lesson, you will not make this faults once again. And it's important. It's again about sharing and about analyzing, because when you share, as you've said, you analyze the information, the experience you have. And also do not underestimate the power of media, of social media, digital media, PR, but stay in touch and be able to manage the information you give and others give about you, because faster you grow, better you become, your competitors will try to somehow to show that you're not as good as them, for example. And you have to be always able to manage this
that's a really good
information
piece of
flow,
advice on competitors. Yeah, very. We have actually quite some questions. So one question is, how do you build your team when you're a startup? So how do you find people that you can call a team, and how do you do that? Maybe which techniques have you applied?
So we when we just started, we knew that okay, we have this CTO. He's a guru of security, of coding. So we have our CFO, CEO, we have Chief Information Officer. So let's see whom we need. For example, in the very beginning, we needed a person who would be able to build payment systems. So who already knew this this process, this building process from the internal side, a person who worked in huge corporations, banking institutions. So you have to decide which parts of the project building you need to cover, and then you start finding this person. And do not also underestimate networks like Women in Tech network or LinkedIn, because those are very important resources of finding the
Right.
the right person. But be very careful with writing. You have to be very precise in those. Before hiring a person, you have to already keep in mind whom really you would love to see in terms of abilities and experience of the person.
Good. I think it's very helpful, especially in the beginning when you might need many people. You need, okay, who do I need first? Like, who is critical to be, you said, to cover this part of the project, because this is essential. We cannot build, for example, a prototype without it, or we cannot, launch our website without, so we can, start working on our product. So this is really great, really helpful. Here's a question from Sophie. I've seen that some brands are more successful than others at early stage because they are connected in a common network. How do you advise starting to break into this network?
What do you understand in terms of a common network? Because it's not that.
Yeah, it could be a couple of meanings,
well,
right? It could be like a close network that
yes,
brands are connected. Maybe Sophie, you can share a little bit more on that as we are talking. We've got a couple of minutes. And here's also a question on at early stage, sometimes co-founders don't agree on something, especially the vision. So how to resolve this conflicts, how to identify what is the priority and how to identify, to share the roles. For example, you said you knew that these are the people, and was there someone that you, for example, you knew that some people could take several roles. So how did you come to an agreement that they would be taking this role? Or they had to try themselves?
Yeah, so it's a very, very good question. Mostly when people do not agree on ideas, you have to make this brainstorm meeting and ask those who do not agree to share their arguments. Because it often comes to the point where a person that does not agree on something presents the arguments, and while presenting, he or she understands already that those arguments are not working. So it's also about communication, about sharing. The team, the core team should be in touch all the time, because we all have ideas. We all search for something new. We search for solutions for the current problems, for example. So and even if you're stuck or you do not agree, you always have to share your thoughts, because in this common thinking, the greatest ideas come to mind. And also about spreading roles. So huge companies, huge corporations have this, kind of for trainees, when they can, for example, Unilever, they have this like a trainee who can try this department for several months, this department for several months, and at the end they can choose where they fit more. Here it's kind of the same, but in terms of a startup, it's harder to do. People can get involved in different solutions and different projects, branches, and they understand themselves where they do contribute more, where their expertise is more needed. But you have to be very open in terms of different teams to share what you're doing, because it helps a lot for the common solution, I would say.
Here's also a question. What makes a great pitch? Especially when nowadays, it's everything is virtual, so we cannot see. So how, maybe some tips on virtual pitching, startup pitching, or any kind of pitching that could be.
Okay, so I will give you very precise tips. Normally, a virtual pitch, or not virtual, 3 to 5 minutes, because investors would actually no longer listen to you. More than 5 minutes, it's already another call, another meeting, another conversation, a more detailed one. So the first contact, it's 3 to 5 minutes. And I would say it's enough to attract attention to an investor. So you should start with introducing yourself as just one sentence. So you say, hi, my name is Alina. I am the COO and co-founder of Quippy. So that's it, just one sentence. If you have a very difficult family name, for example, difficult to pronounce or to understand for other people, skip it. Really just skip it, because it will grab the attention and people would say, think, oh, what's her family name? Oh, and you don't need that. They already have your business card in mind or your contact via email. So just your name would be enough. So that's quite fast, one sentence. Then you have just one sentence to introduce the product, what you are building. So mainly what's the name of the project and what does this project do. So mainly what's the value proposition of your project. So for example, Quippy is a digital payment solution consolidating your bank cards and accounts. The next sentence there would be what makes you outstanding in the field. So you can talk about a hyper important solution that you're building within the project, or you have to, by this third sentence, you already have to grab the attention of the investor, because otherwise investor would already be in the thoughts, and it would just pass. The person wouldn't listen to you. So then you have to highlight if you have not only an advantage, competitive advantage, but for example, you are profitable. It's highly important for a startup. Say in the very beginning, in this third sentence, that we are profitable. The last, I don't know, quarter, 2 quarters, a year, we made X growth in our net revenue. That's what really the investor wants to hear. The investor wants to hear either you are great at something, so you not only know the problem, the solution, the audience, but you're also great at something where you outstand your competitors. And also the investor would love to hear that you make money.
Exactly.
Because if you make money, you're already a very good fit. You have already achieved some important development stages. So then 2 or 3 sentences maximum about your team. You have to highlight why you, and exactly you with your expertise, are able to build this very solution. So then again, 2 or 3 sentences maximum. It really depends, 2 or 3, on the sentence length and on the speed of your of your language. So just, I mean, some people are speaking
then you need
slowly,
less sentence and shorter sentences.
Language.
Yeah. It depends, of
So
course, if you speak fast and maybe you speak eloquently, and
but also extremely important.
Not so like people didn't catch what you said, right?
Yeah, especially if you understand that the language you are speaking is not native to the investor. Better speak a bit slowly, because you have to make this person
put yourself in the shoes of a person who's listening to you, right?
Yes, and also there are lots of people who are not good at capturing auditive information.
Yeah,
We're all people, it happens. So 2 or 3 sentences about the project history, the project development. If you have some, if you don't have some, just 1 sentence, for example. Then the most important part is the main metrics. Even if you are an MVP, you have to show the metrics. Those metrics could be, we have this number of clients, we're present in this number of regions, we have gained this audience, we have this, I don't know, this number of pre-orders, downloads. It depends on the project. So then these are the metrics you highlight. Then another important part, what you want to be in 1 year. As I've said, no 5-year perspective, no 3-year perspective. Even if you are already a developed project, investor would love to hear what becomes to her or his money in a year. Because every time this year is important, how she or he or they would multiply their investment in your project. And then again, the last and the most important part, it's about your investment needs. So you say we're looking for, I don't know, 500K for these conditions. Now, for these conditions, I mean, because purpose, it comes next. They would ask you questions, they would see your page deck, because if you have 5 minutes, probably for these purposes, you can explain those purposes. But if you don't have this time, just say we're asking for 500K for, I don't know, 10% share, or for some other conditions of the how do you accept investments. And as I've said, extremely important, stress out the numbers. When you come to the numbers, to the metrics, you can even slow down your speech to really understand that the investor hears well those numbers, because investments, it's about numbers. And also what I can really suggest you, even especially for those who are a bit afraid, ashamed of talking to investors and so on, approach your investor as your potential client. So it comes in most times that investor can really be your client. So be as simple as possible. Do not implement those hard words, I mean, those definitions, notions. No, you just say, hey, you are making payments every day. You have 5 financial apps. You have to run between them. It wastes your time. Why not having just one app? This approach, kind of a customer approach, makes you more reliable. So you do not consider the investor just as the person who can give you money, who is not related to your project, to your service, but the one who could potentially use what you're building.
Yeah. It's really, really cool tips. Take notes, everyone who's listening to us, and especially planning to fundraise or is in the fundraising phase. And one final message from you, Alina, to all our women in tech and aspiring and fundraising founders who are listening to us and will listen to this recording later. What would you advise?
So of course, the first thing I would advise, it's about thinking big and dreaming big, because if you know what you want to build, what you want to become, whom you want to become, it's already the very first step of your journey. Remember to properly articulate what you are, what you want to do, what you have, because properly spread and properly articulated information in our digitalized world is your best and strongest ally. As I've said, this information might be captured by potential partners, by potential team where you could be recruited, or by potential investor. So articulate well the messages you carry in yourself, and stand out, and it will help you on your way to your personal, to your corporate success. And stay in touch. It's also very important with all the newest just to be able to predict the future and to make this future better for you and all the others. And always be yourself, because
I love
it's
that.
your
I think
strongest
authenticity
benefit.
is so much needed nowadays and always will be in fashion. These are really, really helpful tips. Thank you, Alina,
Yeah.
for sharing your experience. Like great
Thank you.
knowledge that you shared with our audience. And I think everyone who is listening to us, listen to us, and will listen to us will learn a lot. And thanks a lot for being your authentic self. And we are looking forward to staying in touch with you and hearing you at Women Tech Global Conference 2021. Yeah, and another event we have
Just the
also soon.
same. Thank you.
Yeah, pleasure to have this chat with you today. And if you have still some time, please stay with us. The networking is already live, and everyone who is on Hopin, please feel free to go to the networking area and benefit from connecting one-on-one. And I'm wishing you all a great day. Alina, it was great to have you with us. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
So, thank you everyone for being with us. I appreciate you saying hi in the chat, asking your questions, and sharing your feedback with us. Wonderful tips. I wish I could say this to Alina. If she's still with us, she can hear also thanks for the inspirational tips. Yes, think big, dream big. So, Alina, you inspired our audience, and I personally learned a lot. So everyone, feel free to go to the networking area, and I will see you online. Bye-bye.